Come on in, come on in. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk About It Media 21, where we talk hot topics, trending topics, what's going on in the news. We're just going to do a few hot topics today. We're going to probably start off with politics a little bit. So I hope everyone's having a great morning. Thanks for being here. You guys know I have to get back into the algorithm. So thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting. Please like the video as soon as you come in. Hit the thumbs up button as soon as you come in. Let me go ahead and do my disclaimer so that way we can get started. Thanks for being here. A great morning. Let's see. All comments are alleged, period. Copyright disclaimer under section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged in our opinion and for entertainment purposes only. Thanks for being here. Just give me a few more seconds. Okay. Thumbs up the video as soon as you guys come in. And thanks for being here. So, like I said, we're just going to get into a few hot topics, trending topics. We're probably going to start with politics, and then we'll get into some hot topics and what's going on in media. So let's get straight into the clip. Like the video as you guys come in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting the show.
Here's the magic pen that erases scratch.
Like the video as you guys come in. I'll play this clip first so you guys can hear what he said.
Down, rent is down, airfares are down, hotel rates are down, cell phone prices are down, and we're just getting started. But more importantly than going down, our growth is through the roof, way up. We gave you 1776. Meanwhile, grocery prices are starting to go rapidly down. Rent is down, airfares are down, hotel rates are down, cell phone prices are down, and we're just getting started. But more importantly than going down, our growth is through the roof. Way.
So let's continue with some news.
Doesn't need so much, but Russia was there anyway. But I assume you agree that China would like to be doing a lot of business there by buying oil. And I want to just tell President Xi and President Putin, more so in this case, President Xi, because they do need a lot of oil. And we are open for business in the United States, and we are open for business in Venezuela, right? Go ahead, sure.
Mr. President,
you know, I could take questions from these people all day long. You know, they're sitting here, and generally they're very rich, very powerful, but nobody gives a damn about them. It's a sad thing. You have all that money, all that power, and look at all these crazy questions. We could do this all day long, and they wouldn't be satisfied.
I have a question on today's meeting, Mr. President.
We'll take a few more, though.
I have a question on today's meeting, Mr. President.
Let me ask you more importantly, do you have any questions from the biggest?
Yes, sir.
Hold it. Do you have any questions for the biggest people on earth, the biggest business people, the biggest companies anywhere on earth? Do you have any questions for these people? No. Do you have a question for them? Go ahead, ask them.
To rebuilding the oil infrastructure in Venezuela, and for the executives in the room, what do you need from the administration in order to invest?
That's a good question. Do you want to go and answer that question?
Yeah.
Exxon.
I'll refer you back to the statements I made before. There are a number of legal and commercial frameworks that would have to be established to even understand what kind of returns that we'd get on the investments. So I think all the investments and the opportunity sets, I think everyone sitting around this table would have the opportunity and the know-how and the capability to make the investments. The questions will ultimately be, how durable are the protections from a financial standpoint? What do the returns look like? What are the commercial arrangements, the legal frameworks? All those things have to be put in place in order to make a decision to understand what your return would be over the next several decades that these $1 billion investments would be made on.
You know, could I do this? Because we have, again, the biggest people.
Do you wish your man was made in Mainlandia?
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Like the video as you guys come in. Let's continue, fair use clip.
And if you have anything to quickly say, we could do that. But you want to just start right over here? These two guys, we'll leave them out because they're with us. Please.
Thank you, President Trump. John Addison at Vitol. We're here to ensure that you are going to be able to move all of this oil all around the world at the best price possible so that the influence that you have over the Venezuelans will ensure you get what you want.
Thank you. Thank you. Good point.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ryan Sheffield of Formentera. My grandfather, Hugh Sheffield, was president of ARCO, Venezuela.
Right.
Thank you for what you did.
Do you like what we're doing?
There's a lot of shale there, a lot of upside.
He would be very happy looking down. He'd be very proud of you right now, right?
Yes, sir.
Good. Thank you.
Mr. President, Luis Rodriguez, I'm probably the only Venezuelan American sitting around this table. I want to personally thank you for the courage of your actions over the last couple of weeks. I think I speak, and I speak of Venezuela in general in saying there's optimism. You've brought optimism to the table, and if the conditions are met, the opportunity is absolutely immense.
I agree with that. That's true. Thank you. Well said, too. It's immense. This is a tremendous opportunity. Thank you.
Richard Holton from Trafigura. We're working with your administration, Mr. President, to bring that Venezuelan oil to the United States. Our first vessel should load in the next week.
Great. Good job. Thank you.
I think the reason that most of us are here and thinking about the future is because we trust you initially to set this program up that will work and guarantee that this can be done. And there's a huge investment that needs to be done. We've all agreed on that. And certainly we need time to see that through. So thank you for what you've done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. President, I'm Lane Riggs, CEO of Valero Energy, and we're one of those companies that refineries in the U.S. are uniquely configured to run Venezuelan oil, and we're more than happy as this opportunity expands for us to further invest in our refineries to produce more of it.
And you're very much set up for the heavy oil, right?
Yes, sir.
That's great. That's great. We're ready for it.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for having us here.
Thank you.
And thank you for opening the door to a better Venezuela. We are a Spanish company, but we are fully committed to invest here in the States. We have invested over the last 15 years, $21 billion in the American oil and gas industry, in Pennsylvania, in the Gulf of America, in Texas, and in Alaska, with the discovery of Pikka that is going to have the first oil this quarter, and is going to change, is going to reverse the declining history of that great state of Alaska. We are in Venezuela, Mr. President, with our partners of Eni. We produce the gas that guarantees the stability of a half of the grid power in Venezuela. So we are committed with this stability. And on top of that, we are on the ground. We have people, we have facilities, we have technical capabilities. And I take your point, Mr. President. We are ready to invest more in Venezuela. Today, we are producing 45,000 barrels a day gross of oil. And we are ready to multiply by 3 this figure in coming 2-3 years, investing hard in the country, following your recommendation, if you allow us, of course, and in the framework, commercial and legal framework that could allow this growth. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Great job you've done. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you for having me. Matt Sheehy, I'm with Tallgrass Energy. We are an infrastructure business, so whether it's oil, gas, CO2, we move that around. So most of my customers are sitting around the table and happy to lend our expertise to what's going on in Venezuela to support the people. And obviously infrastructure is going to be critical to
Good job.
prepare. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you. An honor to be here. Marianne Mannon, Marathon Petroleum. We are one of the largest U.S. refiners. On behalf of the men and women of Marathon Petroleum and of our industry, thank you and the administration for what you're doing for U.S. energy independence. We have the ability and the capability of our assets to process Venezuelan crude, and the people of Marathon Petroleum stand ready to do so.
Do we need more refineries in our country?
Let's continue with the news. I'll play this.
And we're just getting started. But more importantly than going down, our growth is through the roof. It's way up. We gave them 1776. Meanwhile, grocery prices are starting to go rapidly down. Rent is down. Airfares are down, hotel rates are down, cell phone prices are down, and we're just getting started. But more importantly than going down, our growth is through the roof. It's way up. We gave them 1776. Meanwhile, grocery prices are starting to go rapidly down.
Let's continue with the news. Like the videos, you guys. Come in. Thanks for being here.
The Detroit Economic Club, Steve Gorian. Where's Steve? Steve?
He was in the Motor City, which means he was in Detroit, touring the different plants.
Where's Steve? Hi, Steve. Nice looking man. Nice looking guy. And board chair Sandy Pierce. Thank you very much, Sandy. Thank you very much. And we have some very special people here. We have a man who's doing a fantastic job. I get angry at him every once in a while, but very, very seldom, because he's got what it takes. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Scott? Hi, Scott. Hi, Scott. What a good guy. He's got a good pulse, doesn't he? Good pulse of what's going on. Thank you, Scott. He's been great. Michigan House Speaker Matt Hall. Hi, Matt. We did good in Michigan, Matt. We won the whole thing in Michigan, didn't we, huh? 3 times we won. You know that, right? They didn't give us credit the second time, but we won the second time. But we made the last one, Matt, too big to rig. Right? That's what you got. That's the only way you win races in many cases. I got to tell you, it's too bad. I think they should get voter ID. Wouldn't it be nice? The Democrats are totally against voter ID. Who's against voter ID? How can you even campaign? We are against voter ID. How do you not get voter ID? You know what it means, Matt, right? When you're against voter ID, you want to cheat. That's all. There's only one reason you want to cheat, and they do cheat. They're terrible. Michigan Senate Republican leader Eric Nesbitt. Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Look good, Eric. State Senator Jim Runstad. Jim, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Former Congressman Mike
I'm going to go forward a little bit.
So we're going to win the vote. Representatives Lisa McClain, Jack Bergman. Think about Sleepy Joe Biden with Afghanistan. What a disaster. The most embarrassing day in the history of our country, in my opinion. Real dope. Now, after less than 12 months in office, I'm back in Michigan to report to you on the strongest and fastest economic turnaround in our country's history. It's really been historic. There's never been, when 12 months, we're through 11 months. We've got $18 trillion being invested in our country. The most of any country ever was 3. We're at 18. There's never been anything.
Okay, I'm going to finish with Hot Topics, Trending Topics. Like the videos, you guys come in. That's what he had to say about Michigan. Many people have been talking about Chrissy and Desmond. I will play that because they're saying that he's rude to her and she's rude to him. Relationships break up. They just do. So she says they're about to go walking and he calls her a linebacker. Hold on. Sorry.
Going crazy because Desmond cheated on Christy, and they are saying, how could she? She is so beautiful. They were the most beautiful power couple. But I wanted to show you in this video that beauty is not enough. I am not in any way saying that it's okay for Desmond to cheat on Christy, but I want to give you a perspective, because if we're only saying things like, it doesn't matter how beautiful I am, all men are going to cheat on me, or, you know, you can't trust men, that's the narrative that is being put out by scenarios like this when a man cheats on a beautiful woman. But we actually have to look deeper on the dynamic and what's actually happening. People saying that she can't handle her success, that is not true, because you can see through the whole years that they've been posting, he's been so supportive, and a big part of her videos blowing up is because of his reactions and him being part of it and being funny. If you look back at the videos, he does not look intimidated by her. He looks over it. He looks emotionally checked out, and he looks like he does not want to be there. And again, it has nothing to do with her looks, because she's so beautiful. It has to do with how she treats him, how she makes him feel, and she does not make him feel respected, admired. When she was tying his shoes, she was saying, "You tied my shoes wrong." The man was in the floor for like 3 minutes tying her shoe. At the beginning, she said, "You don't get fashion." I know that this.
So that's the point that everybody's trying to make in regards to the man feeling like a man and feeling respected. Let's move on. There's several videos of her grabbing the food, pushing the bag off to the side. Many people feel he was just over it. And in regards to their religion, the one way how they can get out of their marriage is in regards to infidelity. So maybe there was plot plan. Sometimes men are over it. They just want peace. Sometimes women are over it. They just want peace. It goes both ways. Timothy Chalamet, yeah. Finally, I guess Timothy and Kylie are showing more love and support to one another. But for a while, I don't think they were sharing. And then sometimes he'll do carpets with her. Sometimes they won't. But here nor there, they're in a relationship. Many people are wondering if they're going to get married. If you guys did not check out my short, remember how Kylie was saying her cue card said Kylie Jenner Chalamet? But actually, I think it was fake. I think they tricked people a certain way. Or her cue card or her name tag did say Kylie Jenner. It didn't say his last name. So I guess they were kind of tricking everybody. So that's the picture. The Kardashians are happy when they can get into certain rooms, period. They're happy when they get into certain rooms. And like I said, back in the day, don't forget, there was a picture of Kanye West, Timothy Chalamet, Pete Davis, and Kid Cudi. 3 of those men dated a Kardashian. So don't tell me this might not have been plot planned. Maybe Timothy was in awe of Kylie and Kylie was still with certain people and they then decided to date. But like I said, she's a mother. Where are her children in this? Remember, when she was with Travis Scott, it was all about, I want kids, I want children, I want children. But now that she's with Timothy, we rarely see them out and about with the children. Why is that? So as a mother, don't you think you should involve your children in some way, form, or fashion? They've been together 3 years. She wanted children. And that's the one thing people don't remember, that she wanted kids. She wanted to be a mom. She's still a mom. But how will he be as a stepfather when they're rarely seen out? Disney, out and about, doing different stuff, going to the park. We don't see that. So he's been focusing on his career, which is cool. And now that he's gotten the accolades that he wanted, maybe that'll happen. But her being a mom, excluding the kids, and they go to basketball games too. The kids could be at the basketball games with them too. But it's interesting that she's dating like she don't have kids. That's interesting. Because remember, they were telling Kylie, chill out on wanting to be a parent. But she was like, no, I want to be a mom. I want to be a mom. Travis Scott gave her that. Now she's acting like she's not with him, because we rarely see pictures. And we're going to start seeing them because these celebrities like to work together on different stuff. Celebrities like to trend together. Their management team, their PR team comes together, what they're going to do, what they're going to decide. So at some point, I'm surprised people don't call it out. Hi, good afternoon, good afternoon. I'm surprised more people don't call it out. She's a mom. Why isn't he involved in that? It's not like she was married and he has to wait the 6 months to be around her children. They've been together 3 years and we rarely see pictures. Even from the backside, the children are walking and he's next to them and she's holding hands. We rarely see that. So how is that? You know, many people aren't talking about that, which is interesting. And it is a choice of, but they go to tennis events, they go to basketball events, they go to football events, they do all kinds of stuff together. I don't know about football. I know basketball events. But yeah, they do all kinds of stuff together. How does she exclude her children? And where do they get that, you know, love and support outside of Travis? But it's just interesting to me. And I'm sure they're going to start showing, because remember, the Kardashians like to trend. They're going to start showing somehow, some way, even if they have to AI it. Real talk. But she's a mom, and her children need that love and support. If he's going to be with her for 3 years, and he has, why aren't the children involved? So we're going to continue.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Many people keep asking, is he okay? I'm going to continue. And this is something else where he likes to make certain comments and people are like, what? What are you saying? Let's continue. This was interesting. Hold on.
Is the law of free will, and even the shadow. I know both Charlie and Erica signed contracts. So there is the law of free will, and even the shadow government can't override our free will. And so Charlie, it was back in 2012 that I saw him signing these contracts, and he said, I thought I was just signing political documents to say, yes, I agree to these terms. And
like the video.
Or whatever, they sign documents all the time. And so he didn't really realize what he was getting into. And then his wife, Erica, also signed documents. And essentially it was hidden in plain sight of you agree to sign up and sort of sign your rights and your freedoms away for. Wow. And he said every time that he sort of spoke to an agenda that they wanted him to speak to, he got more funding and he got more community outreach. So he said about 80% of what he spoke about was him. But then there was about 10 to 20% that was sort of funneled through him from this other group and organization.
Careful what you sign.
Absolutely. Both.
Definitely be careful what you sign. So many people have been talking about the Charlie Kirk situation. We've covered some of it, but the biggest thing is a lot happened that day in regards to his security, making sure that things were done. I follow different pages and they've done deep dives in regards to the finances, in regards to what type of equipment was used to take him out, in regards to Erica and her past. People are doing deep dives in regards to Erica. There's a resurfaced video of Erica and the people she support. But the biggest thing is Candace Owen has talked about the organization. I'm surprised that parents may still want their children to be a part of this chapter. You know what I'm saying? We have to protect our teenagers and we have to protect these children that are young. Because if this organization is pushing narratives that are being pushed and we see that he's signing stuff he probably didn't even want to sign, and they're forcing him to go with their narrative. That's why my channel is a little bit different. I think what I want, y'all can think what y'all want. I'll just bring y'all the information. That's why we cover so much. There's a lot of information out there, and some of the stuff is to distract us away from what is going on. What's being talked about, what's going on. Where's this man's body? Why was his hands looking different? Why wasn't there not an ambulance? When there was an ambulance, why did they pass the ambulance? When the doctor tried to go back in there and clean him up, she didn't want him cleaned up. Candace Owen shows a picture of the back side of Charlie. I get that Candace wants to figure out what happened to her friend. I get it. But many people are questioning Candace as well, because the organization and certain people in the organization have been found guilty of things. And they have gone to jail in regards to certain things. So did Charlie Kirk know who he was surrounded by? So parents, if you're going to have your children around this organization, you better make sure certain situations are on the up and up. Because you got to remember Erica's past. You got to remember who some of these men that were around Charlie, their past and what's being talked about is questionable. So parents need to be very careful. Yeah, RIP to Charlie. It's a lot. And this is the other thing. If he was concerned about not being here anymore, I wouldn't have did any more campus talk. I would have just streamed in, zoomed in, or something. But they also said that he was followed a lot. To whereas if he wanted to go somewhere, he had to have security. It's almost like all eyes on him. So he wouldn't talk to different people or be around different people. It was almost like he was being watched like a hawk. It was almost like he was being watched like a hawk, which that can be concerning too. So if his friends knew that he had concerns about being here or not being here, I wouldn't have went to their campus event. I wouldn't have gone. I would have Skyped in. And like I keep telling y'all, there was an overhead where he could have spoke in that like a, it's not like a skywalk, but it's kind of like a skywalk. It's like a long hall. and there was other teachers in that area, and they were watching and listening to him. So when the noise happened, I have to be careful what I say. When the noise happened, a lot of the teachers and aides ducked down because they didn't know if more noise was coming. And then there was a guy that was just standing there and he was just looking. That looked weird. So, well wishes to him. Candace is getting millions of views trying to figure out XYZ, what happened, what's going on with the finances. In regards to the traffic light stuff too, that is concerning too. She talked about the traffic light stuff. Go back and listen to her. She had a brown turtleneck on, or she had a white turtleneck on. Those were within the same week. And then she talks about traffic light. Y'all know what I'm talking about. She talked about traffic light stuff in regards to a blue shirt with a collar. It was a light blue shirt with stripes down, going downward, and she had a white collar. Go listen to that one, because if their organization is involved in traffic light in situations, that's a concern. That's a huge concern. And parents, you got to be careful with your child and talk with your child that if they become a part of this organization, stay in contact with that child, because a lot of stuff don't sound right. It just does not. It does not sound right. And think about it. Think about the files and how they're trying to distract us away from the files. Think about that and what that man was doing in regards to young adults. You understand what I'm saying? So allegedly the man with files is gone. So they're looking for another organization to step in regards to traffic lights. When you really think about it, the man, he's no longer here, right? He was taken out, right? The man in regards to the files was taken out. Now, don't you think they're thinking about trying to find somebody else to step into that man in his files, to step into that role? Parents have to be careful with their children. Keep in contact, know what's going on. If they start acting weird and they're part of this organization, you got to keep an eye on your kids. Flat out. This world, let's step back. This world is sick. People in these traffic lights, they're sick. Hollywood, sick. In regards to being a musician, there's a lot that's happening in regards to musicians as well. It needs to stop. Did you guys realize recently Justin Bieber spoke out in regards to there need to be more protective measures in regards to the music industry, in Hollywood? There need to be more protective measures for these young adults going into these situations. There are a lot of weirdos out there in Hollywood. There's a lot of weirdos in Hollywood. And some of these celebrities are pushing their children into this narrative, and these weirdos are looking at their children. So we really got to be cautious about what parents are putting their children in. Hollywood, being a musician, being an actor, being a model. We would often hear of these models going through different situations. You can't go to a casting a call by yourself. Any situation can't be at a hotel. It could be at a restaurant, yes, but somebody needs to be with you, because there's so many weirdos out there, and we're hearing about the music industry and everything that's going on, and we're hearing about Hollywood and the different accusations. These weirdos think that they can get away with touching people's children and touching people's wives and touching people's male children. The weirdo stuff needs to stop. The weirdo stuff needs to stop. And we're hearing it. And we're hearing all these lawsuits. This producer, this actor went through this lawsuit. And it's like the grooming is so sickening that these people think that they can get away with it. And I'm happy that a lot of this weirdo stuff is being called out, but it needs to stop to protect our young adults. You got to be able to talk to your daughter. Go with a friend, go with me, go with your dad. You got to make sure these people are protected. Sometimes they look for the people that don't have the support. So just talk to your young adults, talk to people. If you have a YouTube page, talk about the weird stuff that's going on as well. There's so much distraction and weird stuff going on, and there's so many lawsuits. Look at the Diddy and Cassie situation. We would have never thought Cassie was going through that with Diddy. They looked normal. We would have never thought that Cassie was going through that with Diddy. And the things he had Cassie doing just to try and say this will affect your career if you don't do X, Y, Z. Mothers, protect your daughters. Fathers, protect your sons. If they're going in this industry, make sure they have protective measures. Let's continue. There's just so much weird stuff going on. Okay. Hold on.
The Trump administration. And today, the Trump administration ended temporary protection status for Somalia. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says, quote, country conditions in Somalia have improved to the point that it no longer meets the law's requirements for temporary protected status. Further, allowing Somali nationals to remain temporarily in the United States is contrary to our national interests. We are putting Americans first. Somali immigrants with this status will be required to leave the country by March 17th. According to the U.S. Census, Minneapolis is home to the largest Somali American population. And today, the Trump administration ended temporary protection status for Somalia. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says, quote, country conditions in Somalia have improved to the point that it no longer meets the law's requirements for temporary protected status. Further, allowing Somali nationals to remain temporarily in the United States is contrary to our national interests. We are putting Americans first. Somali immigrants with this status will be required to leave the country by March 17th. According to the U.S. Census, Minneapolis is home to the largest Somali American population.
So we knew that there was so much going on in regards to, is it Minnesota? In regards to them running different scams, daycares, different programs that wasn't even actual programs. So some of these people from other countries will find a way to run scams, and then it bothers our taxpayers of these scams that they're running. You got a daycare that's supposed to have 98 children in there. There's no children in there, and you're getting funding. You know what I'm saying? You're getting funding, and you have American daycares that's running, and they're not getting that same funding, and they're struggling to make it, and parents are struggling. So then some of these programs have been cut off. So if they're sending them back, they're sending them back. There's a lot that was going on. That young kid, what's his name? That young kid stayed on their neck about this daycare. He said he went in the morning, he went in the afternoon, no kids. You don't even see any footprints. How is it that the city allowed that? Why didn't they do it every 6 months, step in, step out, and unannounced? Because sometimes if they announce it, of course the parents are going to say, oh yeah, 5 kids are here, oh, 20 or 30 are sick. You know what I'm saying? There should be more protective measures in regards to the funding that certain people get. But let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Yeah, people are over this Christy Scott and Desmond Scott situation. And then this, I'm not going to play this. This in itself, the allegations about this is a lot. The allegations about this is a lot. Maybe I will play out some of it. Hold on. Sorry.
Details I get, the creepier this shit gets, y'all. So Bilal, the person who blew the whistle on Will Smith, Jada Pinkett, Diddy, and more, is now got a mysterious illness. I reported that, so go back if you want to hear more about it, but I have some updates. Apparently, this happened as he was overseas. We're speculating he said he was in hiding in Colombia because Will Smith and Jada threatened to make him disappear. But anyway, he was overseas, and they airlifted him to the hospital with this pneumonia or whatever it is. Now, his sister said she spoke to him right before they airlifted him, and he was around people that she didn't know. Now, remember, in the interviews where he was putting everybody on blast and talking about all the essaying and sexual crazy stuff that's been going on, he said he had stuff on thumb drives and on his phone, very sensitive. And you know they want to get a hold of that evidence. Another thing that's weird is the sister, allegedly if this is the sister or whatever, is saying that nobody can get any information of what the hell is going on at whatever hospital he's at. And this whole situation reminds me of the Kim Porter situation because he was working on dropping, which I think he either dropped it or was about to drop a tell-all book. And then all of a sudden, he gets this Diddy-monia. Now, his sister believes somebody may have put something in his drink or in his food. This guy been hiding for a year in Colombia, does this interview with Tasha K, spills the beans on everything, and is bringing out this tell-all book, and now he has pneumonia. Please share this video.
So many people have been talking about this. I saw it yesterday. Who was it? I can't think of the guy's name. So that's a concern. If he was about to do a tell-all and now all of a sudden he is sick and he's been airlifted, but he had already said, check this out, y'all, real talk. He had already said if something happens to him, there's already been information he sent out to people if something happens to him. He's already said stuff is going to go to this person, stuff's going to go to that person, stuff's going to go to this person. So if something happens to him, people are going to receive that information, probably per his lawyer. And whoever his lawyer is probably going to release that stuff that he wanted released. So that's even worse. That if something transpired, and hopefully he's fine. Hopefully he's fine. I heard this yesterday that his sister is trying to get near him, by him. This went, I don't know if it went viral yesterday, but there's only a select few people talking about if something he wasn't doing well. And then hopefully he's going to be okay. But there was only a select few people that were talking about this yesterday. So hopefully Bilal's going to be all right. I had heard that he wasn't feeling well. I didn't know that he was airlifted. So he went on a few different pages. He went on Mims, Make It Make Sense. He went on his show about 2 weeks ago. And then he did Tasha K last week. So hopefully everything's okay. I just told y'all, Hollywood situations is very, 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 very interesting. There's events that's happening. Some celebrities can't get into. There's a lot that's happening. And people are doing whatever to, live out their wants and desires. And there's different groups. So hopefully Bilal's going to be all right. I don't know when he was supposed to release the book, if it was supposed to be this month or next month. When he went on Mims, he was asking for different donations. And people were probably like in the comments, well, if you're about to release a book, why do you need donations? You know what I mean? He wasn't saying that on Tasha K, but go look at his interview in regards to Make It Make Sense. Go look at his interview from Tasha K. He said a lot. And these celebrities, what's being talked about is concerning. So hopefully he'll be all right. He'll recover. Luckily, that's a good thing. If he was airlifted, that means he'll get immediate attention, medically. But I don't know what city or state or country he was in. But, he had already had, if y'all don't know this, he had already had an incident and he was recovering from that. His driver and him were driving. Something happened. I don't know if this is true or false. Hopefully he'll come out and say, no, I'm fine. I don't know. Some people are saying nothing's wrong, but why hasn't he spoke out? So I don't know. Hopefully things are fine. And this may just be a story that's put out. And then sometimes, people will do stuff before selling a book to trend and go viral. Hopefully things are fine. But I'm surprised he hasn't spoke out on Mims or Tasha. Hey, I'm fine. I'm hearing different things. I'm hoping this is not true. But people were talking about it yesterday morning. So now this is day 2. Hopefully he comes out, speaks out. I'm fine. I don't know. And see, that's my page. My page is a little different. I will say, I don't know if something's real or fake, but I got to put it out there just to let y'all know, and y'all can research it. We do things a little different over here. And then I will debunk stuff over here too. So I had heard stuff yesterday, now I'm hearing stuff from him. So I can't confirm or deny if he is ill. I can't confirm or deny if he's well or not. I can't confirm or deny if he's going to speak out and say he's fine. We don't know, but there's allegations that he's not feeling well. So that might just be a lot of people, even media people, had caught like flu-like pneumonia. Look at Ray J. He has pneumonia. Certain people have had a slight cold. Maybe it's a general cold. I don't know. And maybe he felt away, and I don't know. In the city or country he's in, they feel it's better to airlift because he might be too far from the hospital. I don't know. But I'm just here to tell y'all, look into it, do your own research. I will always inform, and y'all can make a decision. I can't confirm or deny if this is real or fake, but it is out there, and it was out there yesterday. So well wishes. If what's being said about Will is true or false, it's concerning. I could actually play that video right now. I'm wondering if I should. Yeah, there's enough people in here. Let's listen. Hold on one second. I was gonna do this video a different day, but I'll go ahead and do it right now. Hold on one second. Hold on. Okay. Like the videos you guys come in. Let's kind of hear what Law Crimes had to say about Will. Hold on one second.
Will Smith has just been officially sued by a professional violinist who claims he was the victim of sexual harassment and retaliation.
Getting fired or getting blamed or shamed or threatened or anything like that simply for reporting sexual misconduct or safety threats at work is not okay.
We are going to go over the new complaint.
So Will Smith was sued by a violinist. So he has a lawsuit about the violinist, and he has this lawsuit in regards to Bilal. Let's continue.
Allegations, the potential evidence, whether this is potentially a strong case, and we're actually bringing on the attorney who has filed this lawsuit. And we're going to do it all for you right now. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. All right, so we wouldn't be able to bring you this episode if we didn't have the incredible support from our sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. We're talking about America's largest personal injury law firm. We're talking about a firm with over 1,000 attorneys who have recovered $25 billion from more than 500,000 clients. I mean, in the past few months alone, a client in Florida received $12 million when insurance offered just $350,000. Out in Pennsylvania, another client was awarded $26 million. That is 40 times the insurer's offer. And Morgan & Morgan, they make it easy to fight for what you deserve. Remember, these are just allegations at this point. Smith has a right to defend himself. Nothing has been proven in a court of law. He has not been held liable, but we have to lay out what's here in this complaint. So first I should tell you who's bringing this lawsuit, and that's interesting. This is a lawsuit that was filed out in California State Court on behalf of Brian King Joseph. Now, before I get into what he alleges, first thing to note, his attorney, so the one filing this lawsuit on his behalf, is Jonathan Delshad. We just talked about him a few days ago because Delshad brought those lawsuits against actor and producer Tyler Perry on behalf of two men who claim they were sexually assaulted by Tyler Perry. We're talking about Mario Rodriguez. That lawsuit that was just filed only days ago, we broke down the entire thing on a previous episode of Sidebar. You can go check it out. But it is interesting that now he is representing another client suing a major celebrity figure in the entertainment industry. And as I mentioned, we are going to be bringing in Mr. Delshad in a minute to talk about this and him filing this lawsuit on behalf of Joseph. But back to Brian King Joseph, okay? First of all, you may know him because he apparently appeared on season 13 of America's Got Talent, made it to the top 3, so you might know who he is. Now, the complaint starts off by saying, if you don't know who he is a professional violinist who was employed by the defendants in this case in connection with a live music tour. So he acted as a musician and a crew member. I want to stop right there. First, he's not only suing Willard Carroll Smith, yes, that is Will Smith's real name, didn't know that, that's apparently his full name, but also this management company that was associated with Will, Trayball Studios Management. And this is the most important part. If you were wondering, well, is that part even true, right? Was there even a connection? Is he a complete stranger? There is video that Joseph posted on his Instagram back in December of 2024, showing him on stage, playing the violin, where Smith appears to come on stage and introduces him saying, Brian King Joseph, ladies and gentlemen. So this was posted December 15th, 2024. Joseph claims that around November of 2024, he was contacted by Smith's people to come out to the actor's house for an introduction, for a potential recording opportunity. He apparently goes there, plays the violin for Smith, claims that Smith invited him to join him at a performance in San Diego, and then join his tour, the Based on a True Story 2025 tour. And he claims he played at that San Diego show, which, by the way, that video that I just mentioned seems to be from, because Joseph, in the caption to that, posts, still pinching myself, 2 sold-out nights with the one and only Will Smith at the Observatory North Park, which is in San Diego. So anyway, he claims that Smith wanted him to become more involved in the performances, that he was a valued member of the team, that he wanted to provide him more stage time, that he even invited Joseph to play on Smith's tracks. And this is where Joseph claims that Smith said to him, quote, you and I have such a special connection that I don't have with anyone else. And apparently more things to that effect. Keep that in mind. Now, this next part is very important for the legal case, okay? So Joseph claims that he was provided information about the upcoming global tour that he would be a part of, or seemingly would be a part of, that would last for several months, and, quote, in reliance, an important legal phrase there, in reliance of that tour, Joseph allegedly told Smith's representatives that he's going to be spending all this money, thousands of dollars, for more music equipment, medication, and other things that he's going to need for the tour. Fast forward, March of 2025. This is the key month. So Joseph claims that he joined Will Smith for the Las Vegas part of the tour, and that all the hotel rooms for him and the crew, they were booked by the defendants, that no one besides the crew or hotel staff had access to his room. And he claims that he left his bag in the van that was moving the crew around from place to place. And when he asked management to get his bag at 3 p.m., management claims they couldn't find it. But then 2 hours later, they allegedly came back with the bag. They found it. So then Joseph claims on the night of March 20th, he goes back to his hotel room and claims there was, quote, evidence that someone had, quote, unlawfully been in his room. He claims hotel security checked it out, said there were no signs of forced entry, meaning no one broke in, that the only people who would have been in there were supposedly Smith's management team. And if you're wondering, how can he prove this? Well, Joseph claims this was documented by phone calls between him and hotel security. So obviously, they would subpoena the phone records through the course of discovery, right? This case advances. Now, I'm going to read you this next part from the complaint verbatim, because you may also be asking, well, how does he know that someone was in his room? Quote, the evidence included a handwritten note addressed to plaintiff by name, which read, Brian, I'll be...
Now listen to what was alleged that was in his room. Like the video, like the video. Let's get the likes up, you guys. There's about 123 in the building and 7 likes. Please double tap the screen to get the likes up. Please double tap the screen to get the likes up, and thank you. Let's get the likes up. Thank you. Let's continue fair use reaction clip. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, you guys. Hit subscribe and turn on your notification. Let's continue.
Back no later 5:30, just us, drawn heart, stone F. Among the remaining belongings were wipes, a beer bottle, a red backpack, a bottle of HIV medication with another individual's name, an earring, and hospital discharge paperwork belonging to a person unbeknownst to plaintiff. Plaintiff feared that an unknown individual would soon return to his room to engage in sexual acts with plaintiff. Now, Joseph claims that he immediately notified security and Smith's team about what had happened.
That's the biggest thing. How could somebody get in his room and leave that stuff? You would have to have a key. You would have to have a key to get into his room. Or you would have to let somebody from cleaning into your room. You can't just enter somebody's room. Let's continue. I'm going to replay that of what was left in his room.
Joseph claims this was documented by phone calls between him and hotel security. So obviously, they would subpoena the phone records through the course of discovery, right? This case advances. Now, I'm going to read you this next part from the complaint verbatim, because you may also be asking, well, how does he know that someone was in his room? Quote, the evidence included a handwritten note addressed to plaintiff by name, which read, Brian, I'll be back no later 5:30, just us, drawn heart, stone F. Among the remaining belongings were wipes, a beer bottle, a red backpack, a bottle of HIV medication with individual's name, an earring, and...
Now, I'm not saying this was Will. I can't confirm or deny if this was Will trying to groom him. I don't know. I don't know who left that stuff in his room. We're just telling y'all what's happening.
Hospital discharge paperwork belonging to a person unbeknownst to plaintiff. Plaintiff feared that an unknown individual would soon return to his room to engage in sexual acts with plaintiff. Now, Joseph claims that he immediately notified security and Smith's team about what had happened. Quote, obtained photo documentation, so not sure if that means he took photos of the note and these items, because obviously that would be very important for his case, that he changed rooms and called the non-emergency police line as well. So if he can prove that all that happened, and there are police and hotel records to confirm that, that is going to be very important. Now, I will say real quick, okay, a couple of questions. Who is Stone F? Is there surveillance footage from the hotel that can be subpoenaed to see who may have entered the room? I mean, this was supposedly only last year. And from a legal point of view, could Smith's defense attorneys argue that drawing a conclusion that someone wanted to engage in sex acts with Joseph is too far a leap based on this evidence, right? How do you...
And the other thing is, if somebody was trying to sleep with him, don't you think Will would act like, oh, let's protect this guy? This is serious. Why would somebody leave you notes and messages? Why would they fire him? Because of that. You would think that the man you're working for or about to perform for, or you're out there performing for, why would you release him and let him go and replace him with another violinist? Because they allegedly said they're going in a different direction. Wouldn't you think Will would be concerned and his team would be concerned, and we're going to protect you? And don't you think Will's team, they love media too. Don't you think Will's team would have said, hello, you know, this is something that's happening to my violinist. I can't believe this happened. No, instead they fired him or released him from his duties and said they're going into a different direction. That in itself is concerning.
Connect that to Will Smith and his team, exactly. I get it. They booked the rooms, but how do you connect that back to Smith? But I'm going to bring on Joseph's attorney in a little bit, so hopefully he can clarify a little bit about this. Joseph claims the next day, so March 21st, he goes back to LA to support the crew and the cast for a pre-recorded show. However, he alleges that Tim Miller, the complaint doesn't really explain who that is, but Tim Miller talked to him and said, it's too late for you to come through the crew entrance, and that we'll just see everyone. We'll see you in New Mexico for the next part of the tour. But then Joseph alleges, a few days later, Miller blames him for what happened in that Las Vegas hotel room incident, and that Joseph was ultimately fired. Quote, when plaintiff requested for further reasoning, Tim Miller, acting on behalf of defendants, redirected the blame for the termination onto plaintiff, replying, I don't know, you tell me. Because everyone is telling me that what happened to you is a lie. Nothing happened. And you made the whole thing up.
Now they're saying he lying. This is the biggest thing. When you're out and you're performing for a Will Smith or somebody else, this is the biggest thing. People like to do things in their private time as well. So Will's team might have felt, look, you might be into some stuff and we don't want to be a part of that. That could have been, how they felt as well. People like to do a lot of stuff on their downtime, right or wrong. People like to do a lot of stuff on their downtime. So let's continue. We don't know if that's how Will Smith's team felt. So that's why I'm saying I can't confirm or deny if Will Smith's team has something to do with putting stuff in his room. I can't confirm or deny if Will Smith's team felt that, after hours, you like to entertain and have fun. We don't know. But we'll see what happens in regards to this lawsuit, though.
So tell me, why did you lie and make this up? Now, that raises a pretty interesting series of questions, right? Did Miller actually say that to Joseph? And if so, was this a way to just, discredit Joseph? Or alternatively, why did he really believe that? Are there those refuting Joseph's narrative? In the complaint, Joseph alleges that he was shocked by this accusation from Miller, that he submitted evidence in a timeline, but, quote, defendant never made any effort to verify if the safety concern was true or not. One call to the hotel security would have been sufficient. Instead, defendant was intent on hearing plaintiff because he reported the attempted sexual assault. Miller also indicated in person and via email that the tour was, quote, moving in a different direction, which was part of the reason for plaintiff's termination. However, following plaintiff's report and termination, defendant hired another violinist to assume the same position on the tour. This hiring strongly suggested that defendant's stated reason for the termination was pretextual. And from there, the complaint reads, plaintiff further pleads on information and belief that defendant's conduct goes beyond a mere failure to protect an employee's safety or a dispute over a claim. Facts strongly suggest that defendant Willard Carroll Smith II was deliberately grooming and priming Mr. Joseph for further sexual exploitation. The sequence of events, Smith's prior statements to plaintiff, and the circumstances of the hotel intrusion all point to a pattern of predatory behavior rather than an isolated incident. Defendant's actions caused plaintiff severe emotional distress, economic loss, reputational harm, and other damages. Plaintiff was also harmed as a result of the stress of losing his job. His health deteriorated, causing major psychological damage. Plaintiff suffered from PTSD and other mental illness as a result of the termination.
So, you think you know what pressure is?
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Let's continue. So once this all plays out in court, we're going to find out more. Let's continue.
Legal claims and causes of action. Joseph did apparently post the following video on Instagram just days before this lawsuit was filed.
Earlier this year, I was hired to be a performer on a major tour with somebody who is huge in the industry. So I was excited, proud of myself for getting the opportunity. Unfortunately, some things happened, and I can't get into the details of exactly what that was because it's already a legal issue right now. But the reason why I'm speaking out about this is because
this is the violinist, him speaking out right now. He did a Instagram live.
Getting fired or getting blamed or shamed or threatened or anything like that simply for reporting sexual misconduct or safety threats at work is not okay.
So he didn't really get into who he was talking about or the legal claims before the filing was made public. Okay, before I get into the legal claims, if this did happen to him and he can prove it, and remember, we're talking about a civil case, it's not a criminal case, and the burden of proof is much lower at trial, it is upsetting, okay? And you can see how much of a negative effect this would have had on him. However, I do have to ask, based just on the four corners of this complaint, is this a bit speculative? Attaching this one bizarre episode to Will Smith and a pattern of predatory behavior, is it too much of a leap? Is there enough connective tissue there? How can you suggest that Smith or his team were part of this or were responsible? Does there need to be more proof of sexual exploitation here? What were the other alleged comments that Smith made to Joseph over time? Is that one posted comment in the complaint, is that enough from Smith about a special connection? Is that overtly sexual? Is this just about an artistic connection? There's room there to debate. And while, of course, a complaint is more bare bones and claims can be further developed during the course of discovery and when information and evidence is exchanged, texts, phone records, email, surveillance footage, but is it too bare bones right now? You wonder if Smith will try to move for what we call in the law summary judgment on this. Basically, that there's no genuine issue for either the judge or jury to decide here. There's no legal claim. Not saying it would be effective, not saying it would work, but just reading the allegations as laid out, do they support a case against Smith and this management company? Maybe, maybe not. But maybe I'm a little overly critical. We're going to bring on Joseph's attorney in a little bit, clarify this position, so stay tuned for that. Let me go through this, okay? These are the causes of action. So the first cause of action or claim is for retaliation violation of California law. Basically, the argument is it is illegal for an employer to fire or discriminate against an employee who reports on being sexually harassed. Now, again, Joseph will have to establish that he engaged in protected activity, namely properly reporting sexual harassment, and that this firing was due to that reporting. Again, Smith, I would imagine, would argue he didn't fire him because he reported sexual harassment. Maybe he was fired for a different reason. maybe we legitimately believed he made it up, or we fired him because we didn't think that he was good anymore, right? The conversation that Joseph had with Miller, that's Joseph's allegations of that story. What would Miller say happened during that conversation? The timing of the alleged firing and the alleged incident is an issue for Smith, right? It's an issue for his team, though. That proximity, very close in time, could be difficult. And if they didn't properly investigate Joseph's, let's say there are legitimate claims, that could be an issue for what. The next claim is also...
And I would imagine Joseph probably took a picture of his room. You would imagine. And the hotel security or the police probably would have took a picture of what was in his room. I would imagine.
For retaliation, but it's under the labor code. So it's similar, but the argument is that it's illegal for an employer to retaliate against an employee for revealing information that the employee reasonably believes violates state or federal law. Again, the idea of protected activity. Same thoughts as above. The third cause, also similar, it's retaliatory termination in violation of public policy. So it's not based on a statute per se, but more California case law. That it has been California law to stop retaliation against employees who complain about workplace health and safety conditions. So it seems to be a broader claim. I did a quick look on this. It appears to be a viable separate cause of action in California, but again, you need that connectivity, right? That he was fired for reporting what he claims was a trespass into his hotel room, protected activity. And again, this will be very fact-specific about what happened in that room, how he reported, what Miller allegedly said, what Smith and management, what they allegedly knew about this. The fourth claim is for what's known as a Bain Act violation, the Tom Bain Civil Rights Act. So it provides someone a right to sue if they believe their rights under the Constitution or California law have been interfered with. Here the claim is that Joseph had a right to report safety hazards and not be retaliated against. The rights he claims are protected by California labor law and the state constitution, a guarantee of personal safety and security. This is a notable section, quote, following these protected actions, defendants through their agents and representatives engaged in threats, intimidation, and or coercion by abruptly terminating plaintiff's employment, falsely stating they were moving in a different direction and replacing him with another violinist. Again, fair to allege, but is what Miller allegedly did and the subsequent alleged termination, threats, intimidation, coercion, my opinion, I could be wrong. I think that needs to be fleshed out a little bit more, but we're in the early stages. Fifth cause of action, Ralph Act violation. So this is the Ralph Civil Rights Act of 1976. It protects people from violence or threats because of sex or sexual orientation. And the claim here is the alleged intrusion into his hotel room was a violent act or a threat or intimidation of a sexual nature. Quote, the circumstances, including the personal nature of the items left behind, the note addressed to plaintiff, and prior statements by Smith to plaintiff, such as, you and I have such a special connection, support the inference that plaintiff believed that the substantial motivating reason for the unlawful entry and related conduct was plaintiff's sex and or sexual orientation. Again, goes to the idea of, is that alleged statement from Smith overtly sexual and enough to establish that Joseph had a reasonably based belief and inference that he was fired and retaliated against because of sex and sexual orientation. Six, we have sexual harassment in violation of the California Fair Employment and Housing Act, which essentially protects employees from harassment or discrimination. The actual excerpt from the code says it makes it illegal for an employer or any other person because of sex to harass an employee. Further states, an employer may also be responsible for the acts of non-employees with respect to harassment of employees. And here Joseph claims that he was employed by the defendants. He was working out of California for preparing for the tour. That's why, by the way, it's California law violation, California jurisdiction, that someone broke into his hotel room while on tour for the defendants. So we're talking about a course of employment. And there was allegedly a note that was left with the intent to engage in sex.
This woman handed her daughter a $10 million check.
And that's the biggest thing. Why would they not protect him more? Oh, this is not okay. We'll get you extra security versus firing him. It's just all interesting. Did it really happen? Why would they not hold protective measures to protect who's working for them instead of firing them?
Note that was left in a hotel room that was assigned and arranged for by the defendants. They allegedly didn't do anything about it after Joseph reported on it, and he was fired for it. Now, throughout the complaint, Joseph discusses the harm that he allegedly suffered and the damages that he believes he's entitled to. So allegedly severe emotional distress, fear of his safety, an economic loss, PTSD, damage to his reputation, claims that he's entitled to a wide array of economic damages. And I will say this, the harm suffered could be the strongest claim, because if he can properly allege everything above, right, and that he was fired for reporting a legitimate workplace safety issue, then it may be an easier road to prove how he suffered financially and people calling him a liar, and that he reaches this opportunity and for it to be taken away in this fashion probably will require him to testify, but just initial thoughts on that. Now, at the time of this recording, I haven't been able to see a statement released on Will Smith's part from his representatives. However, according to People magazine, Smith's attorney, Alan B. Grodsky, said, quote, Mr. Joseph's allegations concerning my client are false, baseless, and reckless. They are categorically denied, and we will use all legal means available to address these claims and to ensure that the truth is brought to light. Now, I will also say this. This lawsuit comes at a precarious time for the actor, right after the fallout from the Oscars Chris Rock travesty, him reportedly trying to do these collaborations with influencers online. You do wonder if his side will say, you know what? Joseph launches this lawsuit out of all times right now, there's a strong chance that it'll accuse Joseph of instituting this lawsuit at a time when Will Smith's career reputation may have taken a bit of a hit, so it's like piling on. I mean, on top of this, remember, this lawsuit comes in the wake of Will Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, being sued in a $3 million lawsuit by her former associate, who alleges that she threatened him and demanded he sign an NDA. So the timing here is very important. It always will go to issues of credibility. Let's see how it plays out. Okay, so now I want to break this down a little bit further with the attorney who is representing Mr. Joseph and who has filed this lawsuit on his behalf, Jonathan Delshak. Thank you so much for taking the time. Really, really appreciate it. My first question is, why file this lawsuit right now, right before January 2026? Was it strategic to file at this time?
You know, it's not a strategic move on this case. The truth is just I had a little bit of extra time during the end of the year. It's quiet in the office. I'm able to get a lot of more work done without people interrupting me here and there. So no, I mean we've been working on this case for quite a while, and it's not a strategic. It wasn't a strategic decision to do it towards the end of the year, but it was more a function of when I had the mental capacity to finish it out, get it done, get it ready, and get it filed.
Gotcha. How's your client doing, by the way? I mentioned before that there was a video that he released before the lawsuit was filed, and then afterwards there was an Instagram story where he was talking about the support that he has received. So in the wake of filing this lawsuit and it being publicized, and it's been in the news cycle now for like 24 hours, how's he doing?
Yeah, you know, I've spoken to him, and without getting into too much attorney-client communication, you know, he is very thankful for support that he's getting. It's a lot. You know, this story has caught the attention of a lot of media, and a lot of people are talking about this, and he's getting a lot of messages, and people are asking him to come on their shows and talk about the case and talk about things that are going on. And right now, you know, I've been counseling him just to sit tight. Let's just let things kind of blow over. And if at a later time he wants to, he can. But, you know, it's a lot right now, and a lot of people are emailing him. But he is very thankful for the amount of support that he's getting. It's a tough thing to go through. You know, somebody like him, although he has been in America's Got Talent, he has had some fame. Putting yourself out against somebody the likes of Will Smith is not an easy thing to do. And so it takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of guts to do what he did. And he felt it was the right move to do, and I think it is as well.
No, that's 100% true. And you and I both know from a legal perspective, to make a very public case and a very public claim against a high-profile celebrity, when there are avenues in the law where someone could file a lawsuit anonymously. I'm not saying that's what your client wanted to do or not, but sometimes there's an avenue. You know, that goes to a clear issue of credibility, and it goes to a clear issue of why do this.
Looking for tax help? Now there are TurboTax experts right in your neighborhood. They get to know your unique situation.
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Like the video as you guys come in. Hold on one second. Let's let the commercial go past.
As I was breaking it down, the lawsuit, and I was hoping you could clarify them. So obviously a part of this lawsuit is narrative, if this goes to trial, is going to be understanding what happened in that hotel room. The part that I'm struggling with and I'm trying to understand is how you connected back to Will Smith. So on one hand, I understand that it was, you know, the defendants, right? Him and this management company together that were part of booking the rooms for this tour. But the idea of that, what your client claims he found in that room was a form of sexual harassment that was tied back to Will Smith because of a comment that he made, or maybe even a series of comments, even though it seems like there was only one that was listed. That he was fired because of that. I think that's I'm struggling understanding the connective tissue back to Will Smith. If you could explain it to me.
Sure, and I don't want to get ahead of my skis here, because, you know, again, we haven't done discovery. We don't know what the facts are going to bear out. But again, the allegations here so far, I think the main allegations in our complaint are that some type of retaliation for reporting sexual harassment. So that's the main thrust of the arguments here. Again, what was written on the note, that was allegedly written on the note, everything I'm going to say is allegedly, because it's all, of course, based on complaint information, I believe, at this point in time. I've seen some of the evidence. What was allegedly written on that note and what was presented to him, and what Mr. Joseph, my client, reported to his employer, in my mind, is a clear reporting of sexual harassment. And so that's where we think that the case is the strongest, and that reporting was then taken to and reviewed by management. And then after that, he was just completely wiped off the tour. So, I mean, he was headlined in one of the earlier concerts that they did with Will Smith. And, you know, Will Smith brought him on stage with fanfare, and people loved him. And then all of a sudden, they're like, well, we don't need a violinist anymore. And then they went ahead and hired another violinist.
Right. Does your client have an idea of who wrote that note?
He doesn't. We've done some independent research into it, and I don't want to disclose that at this point in time.
Totally fair. Is there anything you can say whether or not the person who wrote that note is somehow connected to Will Smith? I know can you say anything about that?
I can't say anything. I think that's going to be something that Discovery is going to bear out.
Okay.
And we're going to have to find out later in this case. I mean, we have our theories, we have our beliefs, and I think you're spot on. By the way, that's the critical question in this, in tying it back. Meaning, can we tie that back? But I think that there's a second option as well. That's just for the sexual harassment part of it. For the reporting, clearly it got back to Will Smith. I mean, that the reporting was reported to the tour manager, the right hand man.
Is that Tim Miller, by the way? Is that
Tim Miller? Tim Miller.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. And so that, that's, I assume you're not asking about that, about the retaliation for the reporting. I'm assuming you're asking about, did he know that was in there? And then the question becomes, why is he retaliating for reporting? And that's the critical question here.
So I have a meta question. So let me first start with the Tim Miller part, because you brought it up. And based on that perceived alleged conversation, couldn't an argument be, and I understand your argument would be they didn't even properly investigate his claims. They didn't even look into it. They should have spoken to at least hotel security. That wasn't done. That was the minimum that was required. I imagine based on the complaint, Tim Miller would say either A, your client was let go because they decided to go in a different direction in terms of a violinist, or B, that they believe that he made all this up. Why? And if that's what's alleged in the complaint, why would Tim Miller claim that your client made up this whole Las Vegas hotel room incident?
Why would he claim? I have no idea why he would make that claim. I mean, that's something that we're going to have to bear out in Discovery. But that's precisely what goes to this concept of pretext, right? When something just doesn't make sense, when you're like looking at typically when an employee is hired to do a job and they're doing it well, the employer is happy with that employee and they want to continue employing them. They're making money off of it.
One thing I've noticed we haven't heard, there's proof, there's pictures. The police has a report. There's proof, there's pictures. We haven't heard that. So I can't confirm or deny if this is real or fake. I don't know. We're just reporting on what's being alleged. All comments are alleged. Can't confirm or deny what's being reported is true or false. But it's very interesting. We still need to hear if they have receipts of what was in that hotel room. You know what I'm saying? Like the video. Fair use reaction clip. And why would they fire him? Because if he has pictures and proof and he has the notes and there's a police report, you guys got to realize this too. Attorneys don't take cases if they don't think they can win. Attorneys are not going to waste their time. Attorneys are too busy. He must have some type of proof or receipts on what was in his room. Think about it. He is finally doing something he probably wanted to do and to be able to travel. Why would he lie? But why would he not? I don't know. That's the one thing I don't know. But when this goes to trial, we're going to see different exhibits. Lawyers don't take cases if they don't think they can win. Lawyers are not going to waste their time. It's not going to be like my word against yours. So there had to have been pictures of what was in his room, what was left in his room, who got into the room. And I'm wondering if there's proof of, just hear me out. I'm wondering if there's cameras showing somebody going into the room and if he was able to get access from the security cameras of who went into his room. You know what I'm saying? And think about this. I told you my page is a little different. We don't know if the person who alleges tried to go at 5:30. Remember how they said, I'll be back at 5:30? Remember how they said he'll be back at 5:30? I'm wondering if the person tried to go or if that even happened. You know what I'm saying? The person said they'll be back at 5:30 and the things was left in the room. I'm wondering if the person realized there was too much commotion, went down the steps, went down the elevator. Oh my goodness, I'm found out. Hello? You know what I mean? Let's continue. Fair use, reaction clip.
And so at a certain point, if something happens and they just, for weird reasons, let go of the employee, you got to look back at the employer and say, is that the real reason they're doing this? Is there something else going on here? And so that's kind of precisely what we're going on with here is that.
And Will Smith is huge. Will Smith probably got some of the best lawyers. So attorney's not going to go after Will Smith if there's not some type of evidence. If a person went into a room, they got cameras of somebody going into the room, they got pictures of what was left in the room, I'm wondering what this attorney has.
It just doesn't seem plausible that you would let somebody go for reporting this unless there was something bigger going on.
I guess the question is, do you know of anybody that would support Tim Miller? Like there were cast or crew who said, listen, yeah, I thought Joseph was making this up. Like, do you know of anybody that is going to come forward and say that? Because that seems to be, based purely on that conversation, that Tim Miller was told by.
Good question. Are other cast members or other people on the team feeling like he lied about this? Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Someone or several people that this wasn't true, unless you're saying this is completely, he doesn't have anybody.
I mean, all Tim Miller would have had to have done was call security at the hotel, and they would have pulled up the cameras, and you would see that it was true.
Hello.
It was very simple. So to say that it was being made up, I think I don't know if that's the argument they're going to make when we take Tim Miller's deposition. I don't know if that's what he's going to say. He's going to say something else. But if that is what he says, I mean, why didn't you just do a quick call to the security department? These Vegas hotels have very tight security. Very tight.
I was going to ask you, did you have an opportunity to review the surveillance footage to see who may have entered your client's room?
Good question. Here they go.
We know that there's surveillance footage out there.
See?
Okay.
Boom.
That's fair. That's fair. I just
told you, attorney's not going to take a case if there's no type of proof. There we go. Let's continue.
I'll go back to Will Smith for a second. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there was one comment that was listed in the complaint, and this is an overarching claim of sexual harassment. To be clear, is your client alleging that Will Smith ever sexually harassed him or propositioned him in any way?
I don't think that's not the claim that's being made in our complaint right now.
100%. But the comment that Will Smith allegedly made to him was put there for a reason. No, it was that comment that he allegedly made, and I believe there was even a reference to other unidentified comments that would give him rise to believe that whatever was left in his hotel room went to this claim of sexual harassment in a way.
Right. That remains to be seen. I don't want to get ahead of my skis on that. Those are facts that are going to come out in discovery. And you're asking me to kind of hypothesize on what may have happened in this case. And again, as an attorney, our job is to advocate for our clients, to figure out the facts. At this point, the only side of the story I know is from what my client tells me.
Sure.
We want to do the discovery. We want to get into the weeds of this case. We want to figure out exactly what happened, who was involved in this, and there's ways that we can figure that stuff out. And slowly by slowly, as things come out, we're happy to come back on and give you updates and let you know what we found. But I don't want to get ahead of my skis on this stuff.
Totally fair. But let me just ask you this: was there another quoted comment that Will Smith allegedly made to your client that you know about that you could have included in the complaint? Because it was just that one, and I think there was reference to there were other comments that might have been made that were similar to that. Do you know if there were other comments that Will Smith allegedly made to your client in that vein?
Again, I'm not trying to be cheeky or anything like that. I actually don't recall if my client told me other things or maybe I wasn't focused on it. It could be that I was made aware of other things and I decided not to put them in there. I wasn't hyper-focused on that issue. Just again, because when we're dealing with complaints and sometimes we do leave stuff out of complaints because we want to prove them later. And in California, you don't need to specifically plead every little fact that's involved. So at this point, I don't recall why it was that I maybe only included that one statement. I wish I could give you a better answer than that, but I don't want to.
Totally fair. Totally fair. I was just curious. What is your client hoping for at this moment? Is his goal to?
Good question. Like the video. Let's get the likes up, everyone. 87 people in the building. The likes should match the views. Please double tap that screen to get the likes up. Y'all. It helps push me into the algorithm. I've been on vacation. Here and there, I've been doing lives. Please thumbs up the video. Please. Thank you.
What is his goal at the end of the day by filing this lawsuit, making this public, potentially taking this to trial? There's multiple causes of action. When you're dealing with these kinds of causes of action, there could be, quite a hefty damages award if this goes to trial. What is he looking for at this point?
At Buffy, we make bedding for people who
And will they settle out of court prior to? Do you guys press 1 if you think Will Smith will settle out of court before this even hits a courtroom? Press 1 if you think they will settle before the courtroom. Press 2 if you think it'll go to trial and be in front of a judge. Like the video. Let's continue, fair use.
My client, like all clients, that at the end of the day, they're not the ones who brought this. It's always, a lot of times people ask the plaintiff's client, well, you brought this lawsuit. No, we didn't. When the defendant acts in a certain way that's contrary to the law, the plaintiff has the right to bring a lawsuit to get justice. It's a better system than, other countries have where, justice is fought out with weapons or other things, right? This is the way that he gets to vindicate his right to be free from retaliation in the workplace or be free from sexual harassment in the workplace. These are the ways that he gets to retaliate. So, it wasn't he that made this public. They acted in a certain way towards him, which caused this lawsuit to happen. Now, what does he want? Like all clients, they want justice, right? They want whatever the law thinks is fair for them. And so in this case, we didn't even put a dollar figure in the complaint. We want the jury to decide on their own what they think that his damages were. And whatever his damages were, that's what he's looking for. I mean, he's not looking to hurt Will Smith or cause him any more unnecessary pain or suffering or anything like that. But at the end of the day, he wants justice for what happened to him. He had a career trajectory that was looking really good when he got hired for this tour, and everything went sour as soon as he reported this issue. So that's kind of, how do you make him whole? How do you come up with that number? That's something that a jury's really good at doing after listening to the evidence. But, we have a long ways to go till we get there.
And finally, before I let you go, there's a big part about this complaint about the harm that your client suffered, right? The financial harm, the emotional distress, the PTSD. What, if you can describe, what has life been like for him since his time on the tour ended?
It's kind of a hard thing for me to pinpoint or describe, but I see it. There's, sometimes clients come to my office, and some clients, they've been terminated. In my practice, 98% of the people that call my office, I don't take their case. I'm a very, very selective attorney. I take very, very,
Told you, very selective.
very few clients. And when they come to my office and we talk about their case, and I get to see certain emotions depending on who they bring with them. Sometimes people bring people for support to the office. They'll bring a friend, they'll bring a mother, a brother, a spouse, and you can kind of ask them and talk to them and say, how has he been after this situation? And I'll tell you, there's a range, there's a spectrum. And some people, they bounce back really quickly. They get fired from a job, no problem. 2 days later, they're on to another job and they're feeling good. And some people, go through a deep, dark depression. Losing a job, when somebody has a job, they think about hope and they think about the future and they think about how great life is. And when that gets taken away from you, especially when it's taken away from you in a way where you feel like it was unfair, it leaves a big hole. And some people have a harder time being resilient and bouncing back from that, and some people don't. And so a lot of people look at it and they say, why doesn't he just get back up and find another job, do something else, move on with his life? That's easier said than done for some people, but we got to be sensitive to some other people who have it a little bit harder. For Mr. Joseph, from what I've seen, he's on the harder end of it. It really affected him for quite a while. And so obviously as time goes on, everything gets a little bit easier, the pain dulls. But from the spectrum of clients that I see in my office, he was on the higher end, I would say.
Well, listen, Mr. Delshad, thank you for taking the time, breaking it down for us, coming on to appear. I would like to continue the conversation as this case progresses, but I really, really appreciate it and you answering some of our questions about this. Thank you.
Like I said, I can't confirm or deny if anything happened. I can't confirm or deny if Will's team was at fault. Can't confirm or deny what's occurring. But the one thing is, a lot of attorneys don't take court cases unless there's some type of proof, some type of receipts, and, they don't want to lose. Some of these attorneys have won almost all their cases, so they don't want to take a case if they're going to lose. So press 1 if you think that this case will move forward in court. Press 2 if you think this court case will not even hit court. Do you think they'll settle out before that? 1 if you think it's going to be in front of a judge to make a decision and a jury. Press 2 if you think that it won't even hit a court case. Let me know in the comments, because the biggest thing is, this is huge to sue Will. I mean, Mr. Bilal has had concerns with Will as well. And, Mr. Bilal is suing alleged Will and Jada. But there's been a little bit back and forth in regards to Bilal and Will and Jada. But then in regards to this court case, in regards to the violinist, it's very serious. So well wishes to him. Hopefully things will go well. But yeah, there's a lot going on. Okay, you guys. So I can't confirm or deny if Will was at fault. His team was at fault. Can't confirm or deny. I'm going to protect my page. Can't confirm or deny if anything transpires. But we'll see what happens. I don't know if this will move forward and if it will be settled out, or if this will proceed in front of a judge, jury. So like the video as you guys come back. Okay. I think. Okay, so fair use, copyright disclaimer, and 2. We just heard from Law Crimes. Law Crimes was one of the channels we did our Diddy court case hearings from, and then Law Crimes is the one we just heard in regards to this Will Smith and the violinist. So like the videos, you guys come in. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is used permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged in our opinion and for entertainment purposes only. Like the videos, you guys come in. I appreciate everyone's support. There's 85 people in the building. Please hit subscribe as well. It actually helps me in a big way. And also continue to hit the like button, y'all. Let's get the likes up. There's about 85 people in the building. Please hit the like button. Okay. We've been live about hour 19. There's about 116 in the building. I hope everyone has hit subscribe. Please do. We're trying to hit 50K by next month. Tiana Taylor, Huggin, Matt Damon. So congratulations to Tiana Taylor. She's done an amazing job over the last, huh? Oh, I'm looking at other stuff for another show. Okay, so there's that. Whether you guys believe what's happening, believe what's been said, right now, Will Smith has been trending in regards to Mr. Bilal. He's been trending in regards to this violinist. So, well wishes. There's a lot going on. And like I told y'all, there need to be more protective measures in regards to Hollywood and what's being talked about. There's a lot going on, there's a lot being said. Let me see if there's anything else I want to cover. Hold on, let me go into Hollywood Unlocked. Let me see if there's anything else I want to cover. Like the videos, y'all come in. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to cover. Jasmine Crockett, I'm sorry, Joy Reid. Joy Reid is talking about Nicki Minaj. That's out there. Let's see. Huh. That I'll cover a different day. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to cover. Because yesterday I wanted to cover something and I did not. I did do a short in regards to Jill Scott. Sorry. I did do a report in regards to Jill Scott talking about Blueface and Krishan. She said that's like her guilty pleasure. Jill Scott talking about them and she likes to see how they move. And I think Blueface mom made a response. It's surprising that Jill Scott likes to watch and pay attention to Blueface and Krishan. Blueface and Krishan are so toxic. So many people are surprised that Jill Scott is entertained by them. Blueface changed his hair. I don't know, and maybe he'll make it go back. It's kind of flat. I don't know what he was thinking. Drewski trended in regards to his skit, in regards to the mega churches. Donald Trump, people were calling him out, and he was not happy that the person was calling him out. That's out there. Hold on one second. We're just doing quick rapid topics right now of what's out there. Like the video as y'all come in. Tiana Taylor is in this outfit. Very interesting outfit. I might show that. Hold on one second. But congratulations to Tiana Taylor in regards to her win. Candy and Todd are trending a lot too. So we'll look at the outfit of Tiana Taylor. I'm gonna show y'all that. It's a very interesting outfit. That's the only reason why I want to talk about it. It's kind of like a little heart of some sort. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. She won the other night. We're gonna definitely see her career skyrocket. Many people have been talking about Todd and Candy. Of course, Todd and Candy are going through a divorce, and many people are wondering how this will all fall into play. Candy is well known. She likes to have different projects. She likes to have different jobs. We had just found out end of last year that Candy and Todd are going through divorce. Very interesting because they were together for a very time. They met on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and we will see what happens. Candy was like a workhorse. She really liked to work. We're going to see what's going to transpire. I'm hearing that Candy may want the files sealed so people can't really get into and report too much on their case. But Todd is like, no, you love talking about our case anyway. You like reporting on it on your YouTube page. So many people are talking about Candy and Todd. Candy report files for hearing to determine parenting time. So they're talking about parenting time and finances. So we'll see what happens. Will the court give full custody, joint custody? What's going to happen? Will they both have joint custody of the kids? Will happen. We'll see what happens. And that's the other thing. What will happen in regards to their prenup? Because we've talked about that before in shows. It's important to try and have a prenup 6 or 7 months before. Candy and Todd's prenup, I think Todd signed it the day of the wedding. And then I think he signed that in front of her attorney. So if you're going to get a prenup, make sure it's 6 or 7 months prior to. Don't do it a month before, 3 weeks before, on your bachelor night. Sign that prenup 6 or 7 months before, because there's always concerns if you sign it under duress. Not legal advice, but many people talk about that prenup being signed prior to. And that's the biggest thing. I guess Candy was constantly talking to Todd about the prenup, and his family was talking to him about the prenup. And then finally, there was a camera that was brought in. I think it was Candy's attorney, and I don't think Todd's attorney was present. So be careful, ladies. If you want a man to sign a prenup, if he's not willing to sign it 6 months before, maybe you shouldn't proceed with the wedding. Get that prenup signed, then start making wedding plans. You know what I'm saying? Because most weddings take about 6 or 7 months to plan anyway. So if you want a man to sign that prenup and you're more financially stable than he is, get that prenup signed 6 or 7 months before as you're planning the wedding. I don't know why they didn't do that prior to, because it takes time to plan a wedding. So here nor there. We'll see what happens in regards to Todd and Candy. Please hit the subscribe button, you guys. We're trying to hit 50K by next month. Please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 50K by next month. If all 105 hit the subscribe button, that'll be an amazing day for me. Let's continue to get the likes up. We should have been had more likes than that. The likes should match the views. Please double tap that screen to get the likes up, y'all. The likes should match the views. It takes 2 seconds. And to hit the like button is free. So people get mad when I say, please subscribe. People get mad when I say, hit the like button. But when I don't ask, you don't receive. 20 likes and there's 124 in the building. Please get the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button, everybody. Please hit the thumbs up button. Please, 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 and thank you. Thank you. Okay. I didn't know which really direction the show was going to go, but I did have to talk about Will and Mr. Bilal and Will and the violinist. So I hope everyone enjoyed the show. We've been live for an hour, 26 minutes. That's ridiculous. That is 23 thumbs ups. That's ridiculous. It is what it is. I got to start saying it more. I got to start slowing the show down more and getting everybody getting the likes up, because an hour and 23 and only 24 likes. Thanks for being here, everyone. Have a great day.